Whenever there is new news that has to be related to Mopar or the Hemi or any of the car models that you see coming out of FCA, somebody usually sends me a text message or a Facebook message and lets me know that something has just happened and it should deserve my attention. So basically, you may have heard, you may have not heard, the Chrysler 300 is slated to get the Hellcat engine. Now, is this official? Well, we're hearing it on multiple sources, so the problem is we absolutely don't know if it's official. But it makes sense that the Chrysler 300 should get the Hellcat engine simply because the Chrysler 300 is essentially the exact same car as the Dodge Charger. If you have been a regular viewer of my channel, you would know that I purchased a Dodge Charger Hellcat, and to tell you the God's honest truth, I was not happy with it. I outlined the reasons why I was not happy with it. Some people like to attack you when you complain, but since it's my money, you ain't got nothing to say anyway. I wasn't happy with the Dodge Charger Hellcat for one reason, because the interiors are cheaper on the Dodge products. If you compare the Dodge Durango SRT to the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT, you will see that the Jeep has a slightly higher build quality. The same goes when you compare the Charger to the Chrysler 300. Now, the only interior issue I ever had with the Chrysler 300 was every now and then the applique stickers that they had on there for individual models. Sometimes those would, the glue would start to come off, and the whatever was holding them on, the 3M adhesive, would start to come off. It's something that I felt shouldn't be in a car that's this expensive, and it seems like they've been trying to cut back on it. As you know, this is my Chrysler 300 SRT. It was a 2012 model. If you look at my videos and you look carefully, you'll actually see that I made a purchase video of the day that I went and bought it. And I got it brand new. I think it had like 30 miles on it or something. It was like test miles or something. But I got it from out in Roslyn. And I was one of the few people who actually had this car. And the problem that I did kind of have was the fact that with the exception of the larger rims and the blacked out features and the tail spoiler, nobody else had a Chrysler 300 that looked exactly like this. In all of the time that I had this car, there were very, very few people who had this car. Like, I may have seen maybe 3 or 4 white ones. I may have seen maybe 2 or 3 red ones. And I'm pretty sure I saw less than 5 black ones. And it took years for people to actually buy them because they bought them as they depreciated, like, year over year. And then they started bringing them to the car shows. But I pretty much loved this car. It was my favorite cruiser. It was my favorite, go to Manhattan and drive around car. One of the problems, if you drive a Mercedes S-Class here in New York City, because we have an S-Class on lease that we use for car service business, one of the problems is that people mistake you for a limo driver. I'm not a limo driver. I don't drive as a car service. I like to have vehicles that absolutely look nothing like anything anybody would ever mistake me for being a limo driver. The problem is, lately, with Uber having taken over the majority of the city, and now there's so many people doing Uber duties, the problem is that this car is now so common that people look at it and they think it's a limo. It's still a great-looking car, but usually cars like this that have this design, they are usually left to limo drivers, cab services or car services, and elderly people. I like the gentlemanly look of the car. It looks elegant. It looks fantastic. But the only problem is, over time, I kind of fell out of love with it because the back seat wasn't very spacious. Other than that, I really had no problems with it. The engine ran perfectly. It was a Hemi V8. Other than that, the only other thing that I would say is kind of an issue is the fact that because I drive kind of heavy-footed, I kept burning through rear tires. Rear tires on my Chrysler 300 never lasted longer than about 4,000 or 5,000 miles. My Jeep SRT's tires, however, because it's all-wheel drive, it doesn't do burnouts, those tires have lasted about 20,000 miles before being in need of change. And over that time period. You can get cheaper tires, but if you choose to go OEM and get the Pirelli Scorpion Verdes, it's going to cost you close to $2,000 for a full set of tires, mounting, and wheel balancing and all that. Had the Chrysler 300 SRT been available with the Hellcat engine, I never would have purchased the Dodge Charger. Once again, the interior is cheaper. It didn't offer the panoramic moonroof, and there were features that I felt that the Charger should have had that it did not have. One of which was the adaptive cruise control system that even my Chrysler 300 SRT had. And on top of that were other features that my Chrysler 300 SRT had, such as a heated and cooled cup holders. And, basically it was a luxury car. If you're paying $70,000 for a car, I expect to get things like I outlined in my Dodge Charger Hellcat purchase video. It is because of those things that I mentioned that I really feel that the absolute best Hellcat product that is powered by a Hellcat engine is really the Jeep Trackhawk. Now, I already outlined what I'm upset about with the Jeep Trackhawk. They didn't give it Hellcat badges. They didn't give it a Hellcat hood, which those are some things that you might be able to mod yourself, but I shouldn't have to mod those myself, especially when you want $100,000 for a Jeep. And let me also say this, because I had refrained from saying it a while back, and I should have said it a long time ago. There is absolutely no way that I would pay an overcharge on any of these cars. As you know, when I made my Charger Hellcat purchase video, I told them up front, I'm not paying over. They, in where I live, New York City, they're trying to get $5,000, $10,000, and even $30,000 over if they can trick people into it. They're trying to get top dollar overcharge for a Jeep Trackhawk. I refuse to pay overcharge. So if and when I purchase one, I absolutely will not pay a dime over sticker. Absolutely not. I know it's supposed to cost $100,000, but I would never pay over. One of the reasons is because of the depreciation. These cars depreciate quick. I wanted to believe that the Hellcats wouldn't depreciate, but the problem is they're made in relatively unlimited numbers, and there's no limit placed on them right now. So therefore, the depreciation that you get hit with is about $20,000 after fewer than 5,000 miles. So your pay-in price of $70,000 drops dramatically to the 50s, and then it hovers in the 50s because that's where the Charger Scat and the Charger SRT are. Now, those depreciate about $10,000 to the 40s, but they really don't drop much lower than that, not in the short term, especially while they're still under warranty. The Hellcats lose $20,000 after just 5,000 miles. The Jeep SRT, in my opinion, is really FCA's best, most sensible product. It makes the most sense. It's an all-wheel drive Hemi that's pretty damn fast. Thus far, I've seen plenty of videos of the Trackhawk, and to tell you the God's honest truth, I have not been impressed. The supercharger whine is lower. On top of that, it looks exactly like all of the rest of the Jeep products. It looks, in fact, I'll say it like this, it doesn't even look exactly like all the regular Jeep SRTs. It looks just like every single other Jeep, the same color as it. If you were sitting at a stoplight, the only way somebody would recognize that that wasn't a regular Overland Summit or a regular SRT, the only way they would know is the fact that it has yellow brakes. But I've seen yellow brakes painted onto regular Trailhawk and Overland Summits. I've seen this. There are people who've already painted their brake calipers yellow, especially if they have a red paint body Jeep. So in my opinion, they didn't do enough with the Trackhawk to differentiate it, and it's very simple what they needed to do. They need to put the Hellcat hood, the Hellcat badges, and possibly even large designed Hellcat wheels. But the people at FCA aren't paying attention, and they're not taking the most important features of these vehicles and accentuating them. And that, I believe, they deserve criticism for. This picture right here is what the Jeep Trackhawk should look like. There is no reason for it not to look like this. This is what it is supposed to look like. It's called logical progression. We saw that a Hellcat had badges added onto it to tell you that the engine was the Hellcat 6.2 supercharged. And then we saw that the Hellcat has a hood scoop intake in order to suck in air. This way, you don't necessarily need to get rid of the distinctive fog lights that let you know that this is still a Jeep SRT level product. So while I can understand that they want to debadge SRT off of it, anybody can add SRT badges. What's too expensive and not worth doing is having to change your hood, paint your hood, and have to add on stuff that should have came with it in the first place. Even these wheels designed here are the exact same wheels that I got on my Charger Hellcat, except they're bigger. Now, I've been on Jeep forums and I've had arguments with assholes and morons and dumbasses, some of which who still are riding around in the original Jeep SRT because their payments per month, they just don't have the money to get the brand newest. There are some people who have claimed that they're going to get the Trackhawk, but I think that once they try to get a value on their used Jeeps, I think once they see how much depreciation difference they're paying for, once they see that, I think they'll understand relatively quickly that having to spend $1,400 per month for the Jeep Trackhawk absolutely makes no sense, especially when the Jeep Trackhawk has only been shown to give you about 1 second better in the quarter mile and about 1 second better from a 0 to 60. 1 second may be a lot when you're racing somebody in a quarter mile, but the sad truth is the vast majority of people who buy these things are not racing them. They're driving them fast, but thus far I have not seen enough from the Jeep Trackhawk to actually justify a $100,000 price. Even though they say it's only $86,000, the simple math of the situation says that you're not going to buy this thing unless it's at least optioned out the way your Jeep SRTs are optioned out. The panoramic roof, the premium sound system, both of those are $2,000 options. I'm not even considering adding the red leather because I don't like red leather. I like black leather inside a sports car. Red is if you have like an Overland Summit, or white is for an Overland Summit. I don't like the red leather. My bottom line is this. They didn't do enough to make it look like what it was supposed to look like, and they're trying to sell you this thing based solely on the fact that it has a supercharger and it has a drivetrain that's strong enough for the supercharger. You see this picture right here? This is what the Chrysler 300 SRT should look like. Following the logical progression of dropping off the fog lights, which I don't understand why you would need to do that, but anyway, following the logical progression of dropping off the headlights, adding on the well-known Hellcat wheels, these would be right here, the brass monkeys, and putting a Hellcat hood on the car would naturally produce something that looked exactly like this. That's assuming that the front end design of the current Chrysler 300 was not changed. This is what the Chrysler 300 Hellcat should look like. This is what the Chrysler 300 Hellcat should look like. There are a lot of people who watch my videos. There are some people who say, right on, man, you're absolutely right. And then you get these jerk-offs who want to say, oh, why are you complaining? Why are you complaining, man? You gotta start complaining. You're pissing and whining, blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, when you have the amount of money moving through your hands that I have, and you're able to make decisions such as buying cars that make no sense whatsoever and are only getting 8 miles per gallon on the road, that is when I will take your advice. Because up until that point, I am in no need to worry about what you think about what I want to buy. The people who I am talking to are specifically the people who plan on buying this level of product. And when I forward this video to FCA, I want FCA to understand that this is what the Chrysler 300 Hellcat should look like. If you're going to play the corporate games and drop the words SRT off of the car, fine by me. I can always add them later. But the bottom line is, if you do that, you're ruining your product. Your product stands for something. Your product stands for street racing technology. Now, I know that's not legally, you're not supposed to say that shit. You're supposed to say it's street and racing technology so that you're not, liable legally when somebody wraps this fucking shit around somebody or a crowd of people or whatever. I understand all that. Street and racing technology. I call it street racing technology because it's SRT. It doesn't say S and RT. That's some bullshit. SRT. Street racing technology. So listen, I understand all that legal mumbo jumbo and you want to get rid of it. Bottom line is this. The product, first of all, you're putting a fucking supercharger into a car that already has 485 horsepower, and we're racing the shit out of these piece of garbage Nissan Maximas and these shitty ass Nissan GTRs, and we're able to beat these bastards in a quarter mile. So my thing is, listen, you got to understand, when we buy stuff like this, we're not buying shit like this to save money. We're not saving Mother Earth. Mother Earth, the oil came out of the earth. We're not saving shit. In fact, the next hurricane that comes along is going to be a superstorm bigger than the one we had this year, and it'll probably wipe out all of like South Central LA before Kim Jong-il does with one of them nuclear weapons, or Kim Jong-un. So my point is this. Don't fuck around, please. Build what we want you to build. Stop screwing around. And if it comes down to you having to hire me to be on your design team, as long as you're willing to pay me, we'll talk about that. But as long as you're willing to pay me at least what I'm getting now or more running my own company, I'd be willing to come on to your design team and walk you through this, because there's no need to be making mistakes, especially when the competition has fallen so far behind. BMW and Mercedes ain't making shit like this. They can't afford to. They're making CLAs and they're making 2 Series and stupid shit with little 4-cylinder bullshit engines that are turbocharged the fuck out of them. And now they got this new one. Mercedes got this car where the engine is a 4-cylinder that redlines at like 11,000 RPM. That thing will spin so fucking hard until the people get thrown out of the fucking car. It doesn't make no goddamn sense. My point is this. 707 horsepower. That's fine. But wait a minute. You got the Demon engine. Why aren't you putting that 800 plus horsepower into the Charger, the Jeep SRT, and the Chrysler 300, and the Challenger? We should forget the Demon. The Demon that's a car that's designed to trick you into coming into the dealership. You'll never be able to get a Demon, not unless you already bought one. The most you'll be able to get is a wide body Hellcat Charger or Challenger. So my thing is this. Why not make it so the Demon engine can go into the Jeep SRT, and then you can put Demon badges and a Demon hood? Do you see how simple this shit is? Engine plus drivetrain plus hood plus badges. It's not complicated. Bigger brakes, more tires. You're already getting $1,000 out of us for the rotors because you're the only one who makes the rotors. So you're already fucking us there. $1,000 for the rotors and $450 for the pads. You already got us. But listen, I know you got me, but I got my wallet right here and this shit is open. So all you got to do is make what I need you to make so that when I'm out on the road and cops pull near my car and they're looking and they get scared and they're like, yo, if this motherfucker starts driving, there's no way I can catch him. That's what I want. I want them to see this car and say, fuck, I can't race this dude. I'm not even going to bother trying. That's what I want. I don't want you to make me shit that looks just like everything else so that when these losers, I saw somebody put Hellcat badges on a Dodge Dart the other day, and it made me want to throw up. I wanted to reach on his car and take his badges off. You're not allowed to do that. But I need you to focus. I need you to focus because it doesn't make sense for you to be turning out world-class products that have people terrified, because these losers in these Nissan Maximas, these shitty-ass Honda Accords, these FRSs, they're not going to race me. They see that shit. They know what that means. They're not going to race me. But now the Trackhawk looks just like everything else. So they say, yeah, this fucking slow-ass Jeep, I'm going to race around this asshole. I don't need that. I got these GTIs, these Volkswagen GTI losers trying to race me every time I go outside. I want these people to see the back of that thing and say, you know what, fuck that, I'm not racing this dude because I already know I lost. And if I race him, I'm probably going to wrap myself around a pole because he's just going to fly right past me. There's nothing I can do. That's what it is. I need you to build products that inspire fear in other drivers. That's what I need you to focus on. So please make sure you do that. Make sure the 300 Hellcat has the Hellcat hood, Hellcat wheels, Hellcat badges, and I need a different style spoiler because you made the mistake of putting the spoiler from the SRT on all of the, the S models. I don't like that. I want the people who didn't spend the money on an SRT product to know that they don't have an SRT product. I want you to make it so that there's no way that you can add the SRT stuff onto the older, V6 cars, because I'm sick and tired of seeing these people do that shit. That up badging is evil and it shouldn't exist. And I need you to focus. Last thing I'm gonna say, let's not fuck this up. First of all, you see those 3 buttons right there? Cruise control, automatic, adaptive cruise control. I expect to see that in the Chrysler 300. The Dodge Charger, the Dodge Challenger didn't have it. I don't expect to see any fucking blank buttons. I don't want to see that shit. That's that bullshit from BMW, Mercedes, and Audi where you don't have all the buttons and shit. I expect to see 3 freaking buttons with stuff on them so that I can use them to do automatic cruise control when I'm in traffic. That's number 1. As far as fog lights, you people keep on pissing me off. We don't have fog lights on any of the Hellcats. I expect to see fog lights. I'd like to see fog lights. If you come up with one of those lies about why you don't have fog lights, yeah, I'm going to criticize. Second of all, I expect to see the front sensors. You see this piece of shit Ultima right there? What happens if I get too close to them? I expect to have front... Look at that. You see that? I expect to have front sensors, just so in case I get too close to one of these loser-ass Ultimas that I don't hit him. When I'm parking, I expect to have... What is it called? I expect to have rear sensors in the rear, because I don't want to get close to anybody else. So I expect to have all that. I don't want to see anything less on that car. You see this Ultra View roof? I expect to see that in the Chrysler 300. I expect to see that. Now, I don't know what you're going to put on the chairs, but you see my chairs say SRT. But now y'all are trying to make it so we don't have the words SRT on anything. Like, for instance, in that new Jeep Trackhawk, I don't know how these people expect you to pay $100,000 and the shit don't say SRT on the steering wheel. That right there is ridiculous. See, look at that. You see that? That's muscle right there. See, we want cars that stand out. We don't want these little bullshit Ultimas and stuff. We don't want that. So anyway, I expect to see SRT on my steering wheel. I expect to see something on the seats. If you want to come out with a new name, the Chrysler 300 Demon, whatever you want to call it, please make sure there's some kind of emblem or something on here that justifies the fact that that thing's going to cost like $80,000 or $70,000 or $9,000 or whatever. Just make sure you justify that. And other than that, I really can't think of anything else. But, the Chrysler 300 I showed you had heated and cooled cup holders. So, I'm probably not getting that again. So, I can deal without the heated cool cup holders. I did use them. I used them for cans of soda. Other than that, I really can't think of anything else. So, let's just get those main things down. And as far as colors of my brake calipers, I expect them shits to be red. Red screams fast. Yellow does not scream fast. Yellow may scream fast on a red Ferrari, but that's because it's a Ferrari, and that's because it's red. This is not complicated. It's not complicated at all. And, okay, that's basically it. So please, just make sure you get it all right.